to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark.
There's another story that kind of unsettling. So you know the basketball superstar Caitlin Clark.
This is serious. And I could say it with my team here, having the footage and the receipts to back me up. I could be in that I told you so mode.
The WNBA just learned the hard way what happens when you build your entire empire on one player. And the second Caitlin Clark's groin gave out, so did the ratings. As New York Post bluntly put it, WNBA viewership has plummeted over 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. The numbers are brutal. It's like pulling the plug on the only lamp in a dark room, the whole place goes black. But besides just plummeting, what numbers reveal about this league's future might shock you. Even Stephen Smith believes she's the best thing after LeBron James.
But I could be saying I told you so. Because let me read this to you. Caitlin Clark has done for the women's NBA what Michael Jordan once did for the NBA. Made it more valuable, watchable, and marketable.
By the end of this video, you'll be able to know if Smith is right or wrong. And we will address the biggest question currently in the WNBA. Can the league survive without Clark, or is the growth story just empty hype?
You know, there's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulders.
It's wild how fast everything has changed. The WNBA felt electric while Caitlin Clark was on the floor. Arenas were packed out. Fans in Clark jerseys flooded social media. Television ratings soared to levels the league hadn't seen in decades. But the moment she went down with that groin injury, it was as if the air rushed out of the balloon. At first, things looked quite unstoppable. Their very first matchup on June 2024 was a spectacle. Clark had a triple-double, there was foul drama, and the game pulled 2.7 million viewers on ABC, peaking over 3 million. That number was historic for women's basketball. The second meeting was still strong, sitting at 1.9 million viewers in a prime-time slot, but you could feel the shine starting to fade. By the third meeting, the numbers slipped to 1.5 million. Fans who showed up for the first matchup didn't all return, and by the fourth game, it's a complete disaster. With Clark sidelined, the ratings collapsed to 1.3 million, the lowest of the entire rivalry. That's over 500,000 people turning the television off in one night. Can you see how the numbers climbed with Clark on board and cratered without her? The fever pitch that networks bragged about is suddenly gone, and it all happened in the span of a single injury. That's not a dip, that's free fall. And speaking of falls, quickly hit like and subscribe so this video doesn't go below the required ratings. All right, let's get back into it.
Just to be clear, Caitlin Clark is being fouled at a record rate. Some of them are brutal fouls, and a lot of the refs are looking the other way. And the women fouling her are doing it on purpose. Now, I can't read minds, but it does have a racial aspect to this. But I could be wrong.
The WNBA has spent this whole season marketing Caitlin Clark as the face of everything. She's in every highlight reel, every commercial, every primetime slot. Walk into the team store. Her jersey is front and center. Scroll through the league's socials. It's Clark, Clark, and more. Clark.
Caitlin Clark comes in and is immediately the biggest star in the league. Immediately. And merchandising in every other way. Apparently, there's some jealousy that might be manifesting itself into physical inappropriate conduct.
And it really worked on the surface. Ratings boomed, ticket sales skyrocketed, casual fans finally tuned in full circle. But here's the problem. The entire machine is running on just one engine, because when Clark sits, it feels like someone unplugged the whole show.
You got people that are resentful towards her. But it's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. Before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shine. This girl, the Golden Goose, comes along and she wreaks havoc.
Think about the 1,992nd NBA. Michael Jordan was the superstar, no doubt, but he wasn't alone. You still had Shaq, Hakeem, Barkley, Stockton and Malone, and later Kobe. The NBA built a web of stars, so the product never lived or died on one man. If you ask me, the WNBA hasn't done that recently. Instead, it hitched its wagon almost completely to Caitlin Clark. And now we're seeing the cost. Without her, the hype looks thin. The promos feel empty. The so-called historic growth sounds more like fragile dependency. So here's the bigger question. Why is one player carrying the weight of an entire league?
This is not something that you would see occur to any other top star in any other league. And I think a lot of fans are scratching their heads of why the league is allowing this to continue, especially given the economic impact that she's having on the league, which they've so desired for decades.
Yeah, but you're not scratching your head, Sean. What do you think it is?
Right after she was drafted and heading into her rookie year, A'ja Wilson, who is a three-time MVP of the league, she's won the championship for the Las Vegas Aces. She came out and addressed the attention that Caitlin Clark is getting, and she said it's absolutely has to do with race.
The truth is, the league had one magic formula for ratings this year. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. That was the cash cow. You didn't need fancy marketing meetings to figure it out. Put the two most talked about players on the same court, and people would watch. Ask any casual fan why they tuned in, and the answer was simple: to watch Clark and Reese. It wasn't about the fever or the sky, but two players carrying the hype of an entire league. But when one of them went down, the magic disappeared. The storylines dried up. Once the golden matchup lost its shine, so did the WNBA.
It doesn't stop there. Because before I read you some quotes, I want to also read you why I'm saying this to you. Remember when I brought up the 2024 U.S. Olympic roster, how she was left off of that, and how stupid that was for Team USA women's basketball to leave her off? Remember I said that? They said this is where they're going now. Ms. Clark's targeting may reflect a culture of disparate treatment, and the evidence provides reasonable cause for a federal probe into potential civil rights violations.
Now turning to the Golden Goose herself, let's talk about why Caitlin Clark is on the sidelines in the first place. It didn't come out of nowhere. Anyone watching her games could see it coming. She was getting hammered night after night. Hard fouls, body checks, players bumping her every drive. And what did the refs do? Most of the time, nothing. Imagine your star violinist playing while the orchestra keeps cutting her strings. Eventually, the music stops. That's what happened here. Clark is the league's main attraction, but instead of protecting her, officials let the physical play pile up until her body gave out.
What Caitlin's done in the last 3 years, 4 years, is just mind-blowing. The way she's taken her popularity, her fame, and really moved the game forward. But the thing I love the most about her is she loves the game of basketball. She works at it. She plays at a level that no one has reached yet in the WNBA. So, to me, I think she's going to take this league as far as she wants to.
This groin injury isn't just bad luck. It's the result of weeks of punishment with barely a whistle to slow it down. The league knew she was the most valuable player for ratings, ticket sales, and overall growth, but they didn't treat her like it. They let her get knocked around like a rookie trying to earn respect. And now the cost is clear. Without Clark, attendance drops, viewers turn away, advertisers rethink their dollars. The so-called historic growth slows down. This isn't just on her body, it's on the league. Because they failed to protect their biggest star. No Clark, no ratings. And the league only has itself to blame.
Remember I talked about all of that? Let me read further. This would mirror the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission investigation into the Erica Hamby's pregnancy discrimination claims against the WNBA and her team. Congress and Labor and Justice Departments would be justified in examining the facts. At Harvard and Columbia, during anti-Semitic protests, institutional leaders played down threats and failed to protect students. Congress and Trump's administration demanded answers. Columbia's recent $221 million settlement for civil rights violations shows the effect.
Now, here's where things get really serious. Advertisers and television networks don't just care about ratings when they're high. They care about consistency. They want to know that every time they put money into a broadcast, they'll get a reliable return. But with Caitlin Clark sitting out, that reliability has disappeared. Every week she misses, more casual fans drift away. It's like when your favorite television show suddenly goes on break for a month. At first, you wait, but after a while, you find something else to watch. That's what's happening here. Fans who tuned in for Clark highlights are finding other sports, other entertainment, and they're not all coming back. And it's not just on television. Attendance at Fever games has dipped. The sellouts that once felt automatic aren't guaranteed anymore. Jersey sales that once skyrocketing have started to flatten out. The buzz that made Indiana the center of women's basketball is slipping through the league's fingers.
In our era, it was to go overseas. You played the WNBA during the summer, and once that ended, you were going straight to, whether it was Russia in my case, Turkey, Spain, Italy. That's where you made most of your money. And at that time, playing year-round basketball, that's what it was about. Can you get on the best team in the world, make the most money? And I got addicted to that. I loved going over there. I loved the WNBA season would end. I would take my 2 days, I would pack my bags, and I'd go back and play in Russia. 2 days, that's all you got. So to see where it's come in 10, 15 years, it's amazing. Because the goal was always to have the best players in the world, play in the best league, and get paid the most money. And we're still not there. There's still a lot of times, like you said, where you're making most of your money not playing basketball. Yeah. And I think that's the shift that I want to see, especially for this next generation.
So what happens next? Networks are already watching the numbers closely. If the drop keeps up, they'll start pulling back. With fewer primetime slots, less promotion, smaller deals. Advertisers will follow the same path. Because here's the truth. No one wants to invest in a product that looks shaky. And right now, without Caitlin Clark, that's how the WNBA looks. What happens when networks finally decide the gamble isn't worth it? Do they pull back money? Do they stop betting on the league altogether? That's the risk staring everyone in the face. But let's be plain about it. What we're watching isn't growth, it's dependency. The WNBA hyped this year as its historic season. Record viewership, record merchandise, record attention. But the second Caitlin Clark goes down, the cracks begin to show. The growth isn't spread across the league. It's stacked on one player's shoulders. Compare that to the NBA. If Steph Curry misses time, fans can still tune in for LeBron James, Giannis, Luka, or Jokic. One star can sit, and the league keeps rolling. That's what we call depth in sports. The WNBA doesn't have that yet. Instead, it's Clark in every promo, Clark on every headline, Clark on every highlight package. And that leaves one brutal reality. Right now, it's Caitlin Clark or dust.
I think it's great. I think that's what makes sports great, right? Not everyone can be loved and not everyone can be hated. There has to be a happy medium, and I think that's what makes it so exciting right now with this new generation. And we talked about how they use their social platforms to really push the game forward. And if anything, we can learn from them too. I think sometimes being the older players or the oldest person in the room, you're always looking at the things that they have easy, but they've done some amazing things in a short time. And that's why the WNBA is where it's going also at this point, using their social platforms and their voice, in a time where it can be spread really easily. That message.
The WNBA needed Clark to lift the sport, but instead they leaned too hard. Instead of building a stage with multiple stars, they built a one-woman show, and when the curtain fell on that one woman, the whole act stumbled. So, could this break the WNBA? Maybe not completely, but it's already exposing just how thin the foundation really is. So how does the league fix this mess? First, protect the stars. Better officiating isn't optional. At this point, it's survival. You can't let the one player carrying your ratings take hit after hit without a whistle. Second, spread the spotlight. Players like Aliyah Boston, Napheesa Collier, and Kelsey Plum have the talent and personality to draw fans, but they need real promotion, not leftovers from the Clark Show. And finally, stop dangling fake game time decision updates just to squeeze ratings, because the fans are noticing, and once trust is gone, it's gone. Basketball sports commentator Stephen A. Smith is right about Clark and trusts his guts to spill on issues like this.
The golden child in her second year in the league, who was top 4 in MVP voting last year, the assist leader last year, a galvanizing talent that has done wonders for the NBA. If she is seen to be physically getting abused on a basketball court in a way that is such a clear and flagrant discrepancy compared to what happens to others that that man is not going to say something?
But the real question is, what if it's already too late? What happens if Clark misses the rest of the season? Will fans rush back the moment she returns? Or is this the moment the WNBA's bubble finally burst? Drop your take below. Can the WNBA survive without Caitlin Clark? Or is this the start of something much darker?